everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards. It's good to be with you again. So this week I wanted to share with you a passion project that I have been working on in the background. And I wanted to give you the behind the scenes story, or the reason why this is a passion project for me. So next week on Tuesday the 21st, which is the summer solstice, I will be hosting the New Earth Leadership Summit, and I'm so excited because I have 21 experts with me talking about how we can stand in our power and become the leaders of New Earth. This all started from me really sitting with a deep question of how are we supposed to move forward? How are we meant to move forward? So I've been talking with my own spirit team about this for a while, because we're watching the fall of the old paradigm, the old structures. If you go back in my Karma Cards videos, you hear me talking about the bifurcating of timelines. This is not something that I've come up with alone. You can find information out about this everywhere. And really what we're looking at are two parallel or splitting paths. A path that's based on sort of a degradation of energy, or you could even call it, I guess, an apocalyptic type timeline. I call it the negative timeline, where everything sort of has a finite end. And then there's the ascension timeline, which is the higher timeline, the paradise timeline, where everything starts to evolve. We're looking at a structures in our society. So this is every structure you can think of. It's governments, it's schooling, it's medical, it's financial. Any system that's in place was built by and for this negative, ultimately finite timeline, right? And so this timeline is based on the idea of separation. When I'm talking about the negative timeline, we're looking at the negative polarity and this idea of ultimate separation. It's not connected to source energy. It's not connected to anything but identity, to the cult of personality. It's based on the ego and this idea of hierarchical structure. And we're watching it fall apart. And this is an exciting time. It's a little bit scary to watch it fall apart. But if you really realize what the opportunity is, you get excited about it, because it's an opportunity to build something new. And, you know, as we're watching something fall apart, it's easy for us to go inward into a place of, I don't know what to do about this. And gosh, I hope someone fixes that, because it looks really bad. And what I've seen is that we're still activated in this someone come save me complex. So it sort of goes into the trauma triangle, right? Of persecutor, victim, rescuer. And so if we're waiting for the rescuer, then we're holding a victim mentality. We're literally saying, I can't fix this, somebody come save me. And I just feel deeply inside that that's not how this is going to play out. And when I go inward and I ask my own team and spirit, how are we supposed to move forwards? They said they always say the same thing, that the ones you have been waiting for are you. And that is both liberating and a little bit overwhelming, right? If you start to think about, oh my gosh, if I'm here to save this, and I don't just mean me, I mean all of us collectively together are here to save this. And it can be easy to go into overwhelm and think, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix. I don't even know where I would start. And that's what inspired the conversation of how do we stand in our personal power and become the leaders that we're waiting for? Because it truly is us we are waiting for. And we, on some level, you already know this. And I know that you know this because you have a deep sense of, I'm here for a reason, right? A lot of us are walking around trying to find and identify this purpose, or we even feel a sense of mission. And some of us even feel like a ticking clock, like the time is running out for me to figure out what it is I'm supposed to do. And I think that ticking clock feeling, it's a little bit of like, okay, it gets us to take action and get going. But I think we're also just feeling that the finite ending of this negative structure. It has a finite ending. So let me go back and just refresh and talk about that for a moment, because it makes sense when you realize how it works. So the finite negative timeline is a timeline that is so disconnected from God or source or the universe or any other energy that is of a larger presence, that's a connecting force to the quantum field. That's another word for it. It's so disconnected from that. It only believes in what you can see, touch, feel, smell, hear. So it's all about what is physically present. And the only thing that's physically present is matter. And matter is finite. It has an ending. That's why our bodies, they only go so far before it's time for us to slough off the body and transcend into another realm. Matter only has so much shelf life. And if you think about something basic, like how many beds have you owned in your life? How many beds have you slept in? Even if you've managed to like stretch it out, man, that mattress is breaking down, right? The box springs are breaking down over time just from use. Even if you are meticulous in taking care of it, it's breaking down because it's matter, and that's just the path of material energy. It has its inception, its rise, and its decline, and ultimately it's finite. Nothing physical lasts forever. Well, imagine basing an entire timeline, an entire existence on a matter-only structure. Right? It has a finite ending, and we can feel that. Now, does that mean we have a finite ending? No, we don't. Because we are immortal beings. We are eternal energy. We have never stopped being the source that we came from. We are still connected to that all powerful, infinite intelligence that created us. And that moment is still happening right now. We're still coming from that energy. We're still expressing that energy. And we're going to continue to express that energy far beyond the physical body. So then we get into bigger theories out there. And this is like the theory of the two worlds split, or the timeline splitting, which is something you've already felt, you've already experienced. We've got this energy where certain people are, it's not that everybody thinks the same, it's not even that everyone perceives the same, but there are energies that recognize and acknowledge our infinite connectedness, our oneness, and then there are groups who absolutely deny its existence. And that's sort of the, make it really basic, that's sort of the main split right there, is like, how are you perceiving your connection to everything around you? Because that's when we're looking at the two major polarities. We're looking at the positive polarity, or the service to others, recognition of our interconnectedness, or we're looking at the service to self, and that's the total denial of anything connecting you. It's the hierarchical structure we're also used to seeing, right? That pyramidal energy where you've got the person at the top and the people below it, and they are disjointed, not connected. And it's always a power struggle over here. So a great example of that, and why it's so resonant for our culture, is Star Wars, right? So we're looking at the Force, basically, and we're looking at the light side of the Force and the dark side of the Force. And if you look at the dark side, it's always dog eat dog, right? So eventually the apprentice has to take out the master, and it's always separation. There's never coming together. So these are the two major energies that we're looking at. Now, for a long time, our systems were sort of taken over. So you hear people talk about the matrix, right? So there was sort of a matrix built to take over this natural order of interconnectedness. So life force energy, quantum field, source energy, God, whatever you want to call it, it's an interconnecting force that connects everything together. We're put into this sort of false overlay of this disjointed, disconnected, hierarchical structure of power control. And it's always about power and control. That's the ultimate, is like, how much power and control can I have in this false structure? And that's what's really interesting about it too, is that these two paths are, allowed. They are actually both divine expressions. And when I talk to my team, they're like, look, it's all good. Source is all good with this, because eventually you come back to the truth, the ultimate truth of oneness. There's only so far you can go away from your ultimate truth before you have to come back to it, before just the natural return happens. So that's why it was allowed. That's why we're allowed to experience it and express it. There's no ultimate condemnation, because eventually you return back to the one truth, which is we are all one. But there's one path that is much more pleasant to experience than the other. Now, to combat this matrix energy, a whole bevy of higher dimensional souls came onto this plane, because we had to even out the playing field. And ultimately, the planet herself is a high vibrational service to others entity. I mean, if you look at how she operates, she supports all life, right? And you can literally, like, all of your needs are met if you work with the earth. She's providing everything for us. So she's a service to others entity, a positive entity. And with this false overlay structure that has been on us for thousands of years, we had to even out the playing field, because the humanity itself wouldn't survive this without a more even playing field. And so all these higher dimensional energies came in, and if you're watching this, guess what? You're one of them, right? This conversation does not attract people who don't resonate with it. So if you're understanding that you are a higher dimensional energy, possibly from another system, coming here to help create an even playing field so that all of humanity can make its choice about how it would like to shift. Would it like to shift with the earth herself, or split from it and create something new, a new environment to work with? Well, we're at that time where enough higher dimensional entities are here, and we're all playing a part, right? So we're still having the human experience. So don't think that we don't get to bypass that. We have to experience it as it is here on this field, and we have to make concrete choices about how we move forward. And that's really the point of this period of time that we're in, where we're transitioning out of third density and into fourth. It's about the choices we make. And so going back to my ultimate question, which is, how do we show up as the leaders that we're meant to be? Because if we don't make a strong choice about it, what we're basically saying is we're consenting to somebody else's idea of how we move forward. And that's kind of how that negative structure got built in the first place, because enough people had sort of relinquished their power. Maybe they just felt the way we do now, that, they weren't sure how to structure it, or the structure that was there is fine. And what happens is this negativity infiltrates and it takes over a structure. And so even things that were built from a positive place get infiltrated and taken over. And that's what we've been watching. And we're watching now the breaking down of this, the hidden reveal, because the deeper we go into a fourth density energy, the more clarifying everything gets. It's like you cannot be in this mixed up place of a little of polarization. It actually, you can't blend polarization in fourth density the way you can blend it in third density, which is the time period we've come from. Was this sort of integrated, couldn't quite see all the players and all the agendas. Well, now as we go deeper into this fourth density energy, yes, you can see it. And our job now is to observe and make strong choices in ourselves. So if we watch something that's falling apart, or something that we don't agree with, and we do nothing, we're basically consenting to that structure being rebuilt. And that's what'll happen if we just sort of sit back and go, gosh, I hope someone fixes this. Well, you're going to get someone to fix it, but it'll be the same type of energy that would see an opportunity to insert, again, whatever agenda that they have into a situation. And so we have to decide within ourselves if that's how we want to continue moving forward. And if that doesn't feel good, to just see the same structures being rebuilt again, only to fall apart on us again, or to entrap us even further, if that doesn't feel good, then we know there's a different choice we need to make. There is a new way that we need to be in this world, and it starts with us finding our personal power and taking responsibility for what we're seeing around us. And I know that can feel liberating, and it can also feel intimidating. And so the whole point of creating the New Earth Leadership Summit is to have conversations with people who are already out there doing it to some degree and helping to get guidance or ideas or understanding of the energy that we need to step into so that we can all do this. And the beautiful thing is, you already have natural gifts, natural abilities that lend you to a certain kind of leadership. So it's not like you have to be a leader in general. It's literally be led by your heart, and you'll step into your own leadership naturally. So if this sounds like an exciting conversation to you, I want to offer you a free ticket to the summit. It's free to join. I'm going to put the sign up link below. I'll put it on the screen here so you can see it too. But the sign up link will be below. You can click that and get access. And starting on June 21st, you will be able to get a video a day for 21 days with 21 different experts helping to illuminate paths forward on how you can stand in your personal power and become the leaders that we need in this world. I hope you join us. And with that, let's do some karma cards for this week. So if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 sets of cards here. I have the planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune into your intuition and feel in for, what do you need right now? Are you looking for action related answers, or are you looking for outcome related answers? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you're choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for June 16th through June 22nd. And let's go over the flavor for this reading. First, we've got the Sun, which is a very good card to get. This is a card of realization and actualization. In the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is the manifestor of the zodiac, so this is going to talk about your goals and your dedication. In the 3rd house, this is ruled by Mercury, and it's the house of communication and self-expression. So we can kind of see what we're going to get. We're talking about actualization or creation of goals that are expressed or communicated. So let's see what they have to say to us. Your spiritual goal at this time: demonstrate your goals by making the right connections. I love this statement because this is a lot of the work that I do with clients right now. Demonstrate your goals by making the right connections. Part of that is simply understanding that when you start to go out of your comfort zone, so even taking this back to the conversation about leadership, you're going to have to leave your comfort zone to lead. And as soon as you leave your comfort zone, there's 2 feelings, 2 energies you're going to meet for sure. Not only are you going to meet your excitement and the exuberance or the sheer joy of just going after something, you're also going to meet your fear and your resistance, because these are the things that guarantee they can keep you safe. So when you step outside, or when you start meeting your goals or your energy, what you're going to feel is a mixed bag of emotions, the exhilaration as well as the fear and the resistance. Make the right connections by just understanding that you're going to meet negative emotions as you stretch yourself. You will understand that those negative emotions do not mean that you're making the wrong choice. They simply are a sign that you are stretching yourself and growing. And so understanding that will allow you to connect back to your sense of purpose and your joy as you move forward towards your goals. Mental action at this time. Realize the day-to-day reality of the idea in question. So if we go back to the idea in question, which is leadership, or how do we become leaders, the day-to-day reality of it is it's not always grand gestures. In fact, many times, the work that you're going to do will probably go unrecognized and unnoticed. And it's, of course, not about the old paradigm of leadership, which is sort of aggrandizement, right? It's like, look at me, I'm at the top, I'm in charge, I've got all the power. That's old paradigm structure, and that's a false structure. Their idea of leadership is really more about control, and that's not what New Earth leadership looks like. The day-to-day reality is you're going to have to show up consistently and take responsibility for what you see because it's the right thing to do, not because it's going to get you something. Now, I know that you know this, but it's important to say it because many times when we're doing the right thing, we feel unvalidated. And to be a New Earth leader, you're going to have to get really good at self-validation, about recognizing the choices that you are making that are in integrity and alignment with yourself, and stand in that place of, I'm really proud of myself for making this choice. Because that will feed you as you're doing the work that may or may not go unnoticed. And really, it's not about, again, aggrandizement. It's really about what is good, what is the highest good for all beings. Physical action. I love this one. It says, act like a leader. Find the most business-like way and get your ideas going, right? So this is talking about strategy. So step into your leadership. Find your strategy, the most business-like way. Like, what is the most efficient way to do this? Or what is the most logical way to do this, right? Break it down into a plan with steps and get it going. That means that even today, whatever time you're watching this at, there's one small step you can take towards your personal leadership, and wherever you feel called to do it, take the small step, right? Let go of, it's important to have the big vision. So we're always asked to hold two visions, right? The big vision of what is this going to look like in the end, and also the strategy, the simple steps I need to take. And today they're asking for you to focus on the simple steps you need to take. So it is one small step you can take today that would start you on the path of that higher energy leadership. So now let's look at outcomes for the Sun in Capricorn in the third house of communication and expression. Your spiritual outcome at this time is the creation of dedication to achieve your ideas. I love this. So as you start formulating these ideas and making choices, and remember the choice to step into leadership, and whatever that looks like, remember there's so many different types of leaders. So we have to let go of our old constructs of what we're told a leader is. Let that go because the new version looks very different. But as we step into the choice of, okay, if I'm the one I've been waiting for, if I'm the one that's going to be the being that shows up, what does that look like? I'm going to choose from this point that I am that being, that it's resonant for me. That's the first choice that creates the energy. Choices and decisions are so powerful. They bring us into 0 point energy, right? So imagine a field full of options, and as soon as you choose, it's like shoom, you've brought in absolute clarity and the ball starts rolling. So this is that moment where you're being asked to think about this deeply, consider what's being put in front of you, and come into the energy of making a choice. And that choice has powerful energy attached to it. The ball starts rolling. So even if you're like, okay, I want things to change. I want to see a new structure. And I guess that I'm one of the leaders I'm waiting for. I choose to be a leader. I don't know what that means yet. That's enough. Let the path show you the way forward. Mental outcome at this time. The gaining of respect for or from focusing on short-term thinking or trips. So again, third house, right? It's quick. It's a quick energy because it's ruled by Mercury. So what they're saying is, you don't have to make these big leaps right now. Remember what they had just told us about getting into a strategy, the step-by-step of how to do this. So by doing that, by making this smaller, like baby step choices, instantly feeling that alignment to your higher self. That's the respect I know you're going to feel. Maybe you'll get it from the outside world too, but you'll definitely be connecting with your higher self, and you'll start to feel that integrity alignment happening, because this is what you came here for. And as soon as you choose, when it's your choice and you choose to step into it, it's like you can feel it, like it changes you. Just that little bit, but you're going to feel the shift in you. Physical outcome at this time, things brought to life or light, resulting from the rules imposed by who and what is around you. And all this is saying is that this is not necessarily the easiest choice you'll ever make, right? So when we decide to be like, hang back and let other people take care of it, we get to sort of have this feeling of like invisibility. Like, I'm not ruffling any feathers. I'm not going to step on any toes. I'm just going to hang out here and watch what happens. And of course, that's a choice you can make. It's not a choice that increases your energy. It doesn't create that higher connection where, remember, as we're moving forward in energy, more of our higher self is coming through. Well, if you really want to open that channel and feel that higher self energy come through, start to step into your leadership and you will feel that alignment. It's like this cha-ching kind of feeling. I mean, it's amazing what happens. Parts of you open up that you've never felt before. And when you do that, of course, there's consequences. Of course, there are consequences for everything. And that's something I keep reinforcing with people, because when we get clear on that there are consequences for everything, good and bad, good consequences, bad consequences, then we start to realize there's no choice we can make. There's no choice we can make that isn't going to have an upside and downside. So the upside of sitting back is now you don't get hassled. The downside is somebody else is going to create something that you're going to have to participate in because you didn't choose to step into the creation of it. When you decide, I'm going to step into some creation, I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'll step in, I'll play. As soon as you start to play, that's when you leave that hassle-free zone. And we talk about that in the New Earth Leadership Summit, by the way. We go into detail of what that means. As soon as you leave the hassle-free zone, right, you're going to get pushback. So again, this is saying there's a little bit of a pushback by the structure that's falling apart as soon as you step in more to your power. That's the consequence of doing it. But there are other, the positive consequences are being able to be part of a change, to have a voice, to step out, to start creating something that actually feels like it's in integrity with a higher timeline. So again, we're at this point right now where they're really asking us. It's interesting that the cards brought it up. You know, I don't control the cards. I can't decide for them. I'd really have to sit and read everyone to get that kind of answer. So I'm really excited when the cards align with the message I feel coming through. And we're just being asked at this time, hey guys, you know this shift is coming. It could be coming even faster than we realize. It feels like it's coming faster than I thought it would. I thought we would have maybe 10 more years before we really started seeing movement, but we don't. It's happening now. And I'm not just talking about the external world structures that we're watching and the sort of like drama movie that's playing out there. I'm talking about on the galactic, like the solar level of things, of how things are moving and shifting within the universe itself, and it's readying us for this next period of time. So we're constantly being asked, would you like to play now? Because there are levels we can play at. We can play at the mundane level, which is sort of that safe level where the only thing that matters here is sort of my immediate experience and how well I do here. Or we can start playing at the global level, which is what's happening to us as a collective. And we can play at the galactic level, which is what's the soul mission, soul purpose. So it's your choice. It's always going to be your choice because you're a divine sovereign being who has been gifted free will. So as you hear this message, it's definitely not a message telling you what to do, but inviting you to step into the energy that's calling us all right now. So I hope that you are resonating with this message. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's coming up for you? Are you excited about it? Are you nervous about it? Either one is great. I feel both too. And I just want you to know that there's so much support and energy in having your back as a leader of New Earth. We would love to have you over here. We would love to see what you're creating. And I just know that the universe is calling you in some special way to be a part of something new and beautiful. And with that, I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a new video. Until then, stay magical.